What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Day Fino Flash podcast featuring your homies. Obviously, it's me, Daddy Fino, Bay Bay, and of course, my co-host, the one and only JT Flash. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, yo.
What was that voice?
I had to give
Oh,
an extra long one. Pause, because
that's what she said. Shout out to the office.
pause. But I had to give him extra long one. Pause again, because it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we dropped. We had some technical difficulties, so
Yeah. I can't believe my computer crashed, but it's okay. My computer's back on. Your system is good. We're ready to go. And I have to say, man, I am pissed off.
why is that?
Actually, I'm pissed the fuck off.
Why is that?
Look, man, I just finished watching Game 3, okay? And although it was a very entertaining game, because it was, I'm pissed off that the Warriors just can't fucking whip their ass. Like, why do they have to be fucking injured, man?
Well,
I,
I
I,
took the words right out of my mouth. Injured.
I
So
would have been right. I said they would have won. They would have won in 5 games, but I guess the basketball gods want to make the series long. Then Klay Thompson doesn't play tonight, which I kind of expected. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I was just pissed off this
you
whole
think
game.
you think Durant's coming back next game?
Oh well, I don't know next game. I don't know. I don't think they need him next game. I'll be honest. If Clay played today, Warriors win. There's no question about that.
I mean, Curry did score 47, so you're probably right. I mean, on a bad night, Clay gets what, like 16, 17 points on a bad night?
Steph just needed anybody, honestly.
I mean, Draymond, I think what do you have, like 18? 18.
Yeah, but he had 18 of like the quietest points I've ever seen in my life. It was just like I didn't even know Draymond was playing. He was terrible tonight. Boogie looked dead. He couldn't jump up. He couldn't jump an inch off the court. It was just really bad how he was looking. He kept complaining and trying to get calls. Which don't get me wrong, some of them they didn't call at all. But he just looked terrible. I mean, I don't know what happened to Boogie. I guess he came back too early. Well, not too early. I'm saying he might have played too much too early. I guess that's what I meant to say. So his body didn't recover.
Came back before he was ready, maybe.
Well, I don't know if he. I think he was ready. It's just he went from playing 8 minutes in game one to playing 28 minutes in game two. That's a big jump. He probably put all his energy into that game.
Yeah.
And just wasn't ready for tonight, I guess. I'm not sure. To answer your question earlier, I don't know if I actually did. So I think KD's coming back. Friday would be game 4? I don't think so. I think game 5 would be better. But it would be great if they did. Like KD comes back, Clay comes back. They all in game 4 in Oracle. Like that would be nice. That would be dope.
Yeah.
It'd be a fun to see.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the video that they showed on like Sports Center, but when Katie's walking around trash talking to Aubrey,
Stop being disrespectful, okay?
I'm sorry, his name is Aubrey.
All right, whatever. Go
Well,
ahead.
all right, tonight we'll call him Drake, the Raptors one. We'll call him Drake today.
There you go.
When he was trash talking Drake, he looked limping. I mean, he didn't look healthy. So
Look, let me talk to people. Now, look, I'm no doctor, all right? And I understand. Although I'm not a doctor, I have watched plenty, and I mean plenty of episodes of ER several times. Okay, I watched. They have like 15 seasons, and I've watched every episode at least 100 times. Okay, so let me give you my expertise on this. What he has, and this is what people don't understand. See, I saw a comment earlier where they they were mad that KD was in the locker room watching the game while Klay Thompson's on the bench. And what I was trying to explain to this person, because that was the most idiotic comment I've ever seen. KD is experiencing not only Achilles problem, but the Achilles is actually hampering his what they call the plantar fascia. Okay, you ever heard of plantar fasciitis? I think I'm saying that word right.
I
Have you
have.
ever heard of it?
I have.
Okay, well, it's something I even experienced. I have in both, and definitely my right foot. Okay, I have issues with it. You can't sit down for a period of time because when you get back up, you get like your foot is just like it's in serious pain, or it's just like you can't walk on it for a little bit. You know, it's a lot of discomfort, and I truly believe that is what's going on with KD. See, that's why he can't sit on the bench because he can't get medical treatment while he's on the bench. They got to focus on the game. He's getting medical treatment in the back. They're resting him, and also probably massaging his foot and doing all this stuff that you know their physical therapy team is able to do, and that's why he's always in the back. He's limping because I mean, just think about it. He got off a plane that was what, from Toronto to Golden State. What do you think? How long that is?
I mean, you're talking about half a continent. I mean,
So you think of what? Maybe 3 or 4 hours? Maybe more.
probably like 6 at the least. I'd probably say more than that. So
6 hours. So 6 hours on a plane. Okay. That's and he's probably getting some treatment on the plane, but at the same time, the fact that he's sitting down, shoot, he don't even have to be sitting down. Plantar fasciitis affects you. You could be laying down. Like if you're not on your feet, it's gonna hurt you. So I think that's what's going on with KD. I think the Achilles, which is it can affect your plantar fasciitis or fascia or whatever the hell they call it. Okay, I think it's connected, and that's why he's limping all the time. I think he's okay. Not saying he's 100%, but he's definitely around. I think 70-75%.
well, if he has plantar fasciitis, I don't think he'll play because I also have dealt with the injury and running on it, and cutting on your heel. It messes it up, makes it worse. It's different from just walking around on it. If that's what he has, I mean, maybe his Achilles is. I don't think it's torn because he couldn't walk at all. But I'm not sure what he has and if it's his Achilles. But I don't think he'll be back till at least game 5 or 6. I think he still needs some time. Hopefully Klay comes back next game because I predicted the Warriors win 4-2. And for that prediction to come true, I need Klay to come back as quickly as possible. But you heard it from MD Fino over here, who has
Uh, I did,
his
I did
honorary PhD from what show did you say you watched?
ER, the greatest
Okay.
medical show of all time.
Okay.
But no, I did some research. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's going on with him. I think he'll be back. Probably, I think everyone's gonna say Friday is the date that we're looking at, but I think I think What would it be? I think they play Monday. The next game will be on Monday. For Game 5. I think that's the day that he'll come back. Um, I mean, how do I think that would affect the team? I originally thought that because if you remember in my picks, I had them losing. The only game I had the Warriors losing was the game KD comes back. Because I had Warriors in 5. I'm obviously wrong now, but I actually, now that I think about it, I don't think that the Warriors actually lose the game he comes back, only because the way they've been playing and what he's gonna be, he's not gonna be in ISO a lot too much. I don't see him being in ISO too much. It's gonna probably be hard for him to do it consistently. So they're gonna have to continue their style of what they've been playing so far. I mean, he'll get his ISOs, but it won't be to the extent of what it usually would be if he was 100% or anything. So, they can just plug him in, sort of like what they did with DeMarcus. They'll just plug him in, and I think they'll win Game 5. They'll win Game 4 for sure. I think that's a lock. Game 4 is a lock as a win. If KD comes back Game 5, they'll win Game 5 in Toronto, and Game 6, that's going to be a tough one to choose. I'm going to wait to pick that game, but I think I'm going to have the Warriors win the next 2. 4 is a lock, and if KD comes back 5, I think that's a lock also.
You have any honorable mentions from players in this series? Any players that have stood out to you that aren't the stars?
Well, if I had to pick one, I mean, I think the obvious one should be Danny Green. Danny Green has balled the fuck out. I mean, he usually does. The man shoots like 53% from 3 in the finals for his whole career.
I know he didn't have a big game 2, and I mean, I know he's probably the second. I don't know about the second best player, but I would have said Siakam probably. He had that huge game 1, and
well, see, Siakam, yeah, he had the great game 1, but then he didn't show up in game 2, and in game 3, he didn't really do anything either. They won this game, they won this game for 2 reasons. Danny Green and Kyle Lowry. That's the main 2 reasons why they won that game. Every time the Warriors would go on a little run to make the game to like 7, or I think at one point they had a chance to make it to 4. Kyle Lowry would just hit the 3 and just cut that momentum off. They try to get hot, and then Danny Green would shoot the 3. It was just those 3s killed them. At one point, I thought the Warriors were just playing another team named the Warriors, because we only know the Warriors to shoot 3s like this, and it was like they were playing themselves. I didn't think Toronto had those three capabilities, and they definitely showed today that they do. Even Kawhi hit a dagger 3 at one point to calm down that momentum. Marcus Gasol hit a 3. Van Fleet, I mean, he's another name that you can name under this, where he's not a superstar or anything, but he stepped his game up.
Shout out to the Shockers, Wichita State, Van Fleet.
Shut up. Yeah. Just shut up. I know, but that was irrelevant.
I'm a Kansas boy. I mean, he didn't play for KU, but he played for the. If he was for K State, I wouldn't have mentioned him. But you
didn't hear me say "Let's go Duke" when Quinn Cook went off. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
because we've heard enough of you for that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't play for my team. Played for near my city.
Anyway, you interrupted me. Okay, look. What was this? Yeah, Van Fleet, superstar, non-superstars went off. He stepped up. Marc Gasol played well tonight after a bad game too. Pretty much everyone stepped up. Siakam really didn't do too much today, like I said already, but everyone else just said, "Don't worry, I got this." Um, yeah, so got to mention those guys for sure.
Yeah, I would have said Van Fleet, and I think we forgot the guy that was kind of disrespected at the end of game 2. Iggy put the dagger in game 2. I wouldn't necessarily call him a superstar. I mean, he's a star on the team. Well, for the bench anyway.
No, see, that's just another injury that the Warriors just have. I mean, it really makes me upset. And if they lose because of injury, that would be a sucky way to go out, especially on a team that, I mean, it has dynasty written all over it if they're not a dynasty already. Not many teams in NBA history got the three-peat. Who is it? I know Jordan got it, Lakers got it, and I think Boston has it. That's it. Yeah, Russell, Jordan, Shaq. Those are So
How dare you? How dare you?
what did I say?
You better add that other name in there.
What do you mean? Shaq got the three-peat.
I can't even with you, right? You can call me disrespectful.
How am I being disrespectful?
You add Kobe Bryant's name when you say that, or is disrespectful.
Who Finals MVP? Shaq. So I'm saying Shaq led his team to the three-peat. I said the three leaders.
Just let's move on. Go ahead to what you were going to say.
I forgot what I was gonna say. No, I didn't. But like I said, it would suck if this is how, I guess, not that it ends, because it's not like the Warriors are done, after this year, or anything like that. But it just it'd be nice for them to get that. I really want them to get it. I love Steph Curry. I love Klay Thompson. Not a huge fan of Durant, but I love those two. I love Draymond. I've said that plenty of times on the show already, on previous episodes. So I would love for them to get that. But, we'll see how it goes. We still got a long series. We got Friday's game 4. We'll see what happens.
So, in your words, if the Warriors lost to injury, it would be kind of a letdown, and the Raptors would maybe possibly shock the world.
Well, it's not a shock if they're injured. I mean, it would be like tonight. I don't think anyone was shocked the Raptors won.
No.
And the crazy thing is, I don't think anyone would really be shocked that the Warriors won too. Like it's one of those things. Like people obviously Steph Curry and the team would get mad credit and stuff if they did win and pull off what many would say is an upset. Don't get me wrong, but would we really be shocked that the Warriors had won tonight? You know what I'm saying? Like, I really wouldn't have been shocked.
Can I be honest? If you would have told me, if I didn't see the final score or watch the game, and you told me Steph Curry dropped 47 points, and then you told me that the Warriors did lose, I wouldn't believe it. So
yeah, so you see what I mean? Like, I mean, I understand KD and Clay are out, but at the same time, I mean, as long as you got Steph, you had a shot, and they definitely had the shot. Their defense failed them tonight. I think if they played better defense, they could have won this game.
So who do you think right now is the underdog? Is it with the injuries? Is it Toronto? Is it Golden State? Or do you think the matchup is pretty much with those injuries it makes them even?
Well, it doesn't make them even because I think Raptors. So let me ask you this: are you saying when you say injuries, are you assuming like Clay is out consistently, or like who's out? Am I just talking about KD?
So like tonight, let's talk about
Okay.
tonight. Who do you think was the underdog coming into tonight's matchup?
Well, I think the Warriors were definitely the underdogs. Um, but they're just such a great team that it wouldn't have shocked me if they won, even though they were the underdogs. I don't. I think everyone had Raptors winning tonight once Clay was ruled out. I think everyone pretty much knew the Raptors were going to win, or at least they damn sure should have won. You know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, if Clay played, I think that with them being at home, I picked the Warriors as the favorite tonight. But when Clay's ruled out, you gotta play with who you got. Um, Now if Clay and KD come back, I think it's even if Clay is at like 75% or whatever, because it is his hamstring. He does run around, picks all the time. That's gonna affect it really bad. And then you got KD. Let's say he's at like 75% also. You know, I would still get the edge to the Warriors. I think they gained the edge just because 75% of Kevin Durant is still what, maybe top three player on the court still, you know?
it depends how his mobility, but yeah.
Yeah, but even 75%, I'd probably still take a 75% Kevin Durant over every player on the court besides like Kawhi and Steph. That's it. That- So I think that gives the edge to the Warriors, and that pushes them back to being the favorites again. Um, but like I said, well, we don't know if KD's ever going to play. Maybe game 4. I see right now I'm looking at game 5. I think game 5 is the most realistic, and that's probably the one I would bring him back to anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they're definitely. I think the Warriors are underdogs with the injuries. Um, I
I mean, at
I
the
don't.
end of the day, let me just say this. At the end of the day, I think we both want the Warriors full strength and the Raptors full strength. And even though the Warriors are at full strength way better than the Raptors, I think we still want that because we don't want any chances of this being like a considered like a easy finals for either team, or being like you know we just want a head to head best team, everyone healthy, battle it out. And even if the Warriors kick their ass, which we all believe will happen, at least we know that it was some type of challenge.
Well, speaking of ass kicking and challenges, did you
Oh,
uh, did,
like that.
did you catch up? Did you catch up on what happened Saturday night?
Saturday night. Well, if you're talking about NXT Takeover, no, I'm just playing. I know what you're talking about. I already know what you're talking about. You're talking about Andy Ruiz, aren't you?
Oh
Because
yeah,
I'm not mentioning the other guy's name. I won't even say his name
you
once.
shouldn't. And the fact that he's still getting his name mentioned on airwaves is is a tragedy. Um, I'll let you go first because like I said, I have some things to say. I've already
Yeah,
said.
I'm gonna make mine quick. Before I begin on that, just I did mention NXT Takeover. That was a WWE event that happened. Hell of a show. If you love wrestling, I suggest you watch that show because god damn, that was a great show. Anyway, to the Andy Ruiz fight, I, I thought that was a fucking hilarious fight from the beginning to the end. The way Ruiz what I loved about Ruiz is, you know, he kind of let the other guy, you know, he kind of let the other guy do his thing as far as getting the jab off, and he let him attack a little bit, made him look like he was, impressing the people. But Ruiz was just a mad aggressive. He played up. He got the uppercuts. That right hand was, oh man, that right hand in the third round behind the ear. Oh man, that fucked him up. Um, I love that. Even though he went down first, he came back, knocked him down twice, and that was a great third round. I think we both can agree on that. I thought both sides was actually pretty good in that third round. That was one of the best rounds I've seen in a long time. Um, but yeah, I marked out for that. I really love that Ruiz upset it, got the upset. He doesn't have the body as obviously that the other guy has, but and at the end of the day, he had the heart, and that's really all that mattered. So new heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz. I think he's the first Mexican heavyweight champion too. I thought I read or something like that. So shout out to him. I'm just gonna let you take it because I know you got a lot to say, and I don't want to hold you back. So go ahead, let's say what you got to say, bro.
So I gave my review of this fight. It's on the Daddy Fino Flash podcast channel on YouTube. I gave a little more in-depth review and some of a rant on this fight, but I knew we were going to talk about it on the podcast, so I saved some of it. This fight was a joke. And that's no disrespect to the new heavyweight champion, Andrew Ruiz, who now has 3 belts, by the way.
Wait, he won all 3 of them?
I believe so, yeah. I think he took all 3 of the other guys' belts.
Oh shit! I didn't know. I didn't know all 3 were on the line. See, I like boxing, but I don't understand how some of the stuff works. Definitely their championships. So
and I didn't because I didn't. I was mad about this fight. I turned it off. I don't know, but I know the other guy held 3 belts, and they before the fight. I mean, the pregame fight pictures, it was showing them both holding 3 belts. So I'm assuming this fight was for 3 belts. Either way, he took a belt from a guy that he probably shouldn't have. And I'll just start off with this about the appearances of the fighters. Believe it or not, Andy Ruiz Jr. is actually the lighter of the 2 fighters. That's, to me, a little hard to believe by looking at him. He's not as tall, obviously. He doesn't have the reach. He has an impressive record. I'm not knocking his boxing skills. He before the fight started, he was 32-1, and 21 of his 32 wins were knockouts.
real quick, he does have all 3 belts.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say he took all 3 belts from Joshua. I said his name. The other guy.
Now we got to say his name from now on. All right, go ahead.
I broke the thing. I apologize.
Champions only, man. Champions only.
I guess. But Anthony Joshua had an impressive record, similar to Deontay Wilder's coming into this fight. He was 22-0 coming into this fight. 21 of his 22 wins were knockouts. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I think it's like a 95 or 96 knockout percentage.
Yep.
Like, he held all 3 belts. And my biggest problem, and I've said this, I didn't say this on a podcast, but I have some people I talk boxing with regularly. I have never been an Anthony Joshua supporter when it came down to talking about who was the best boxer in the heavyweight division.
Now, why? What about Anthony Joshua don't you like?
So he has the records. He has the appearance. He has the gold medal that he won when he was 18. If on paper he looks like he's the champion and formidable opponent, but and I'm not the first one to say this. It's been said since the fight, but his jaw, I question his jaw and his toughness, and I've always thought he overlooked certain opponents. And there was a quote of his when he was talking about Wilder and Fury on ESPN First Take, where those guys have great records because they were fighting like garbage men and taxi drivers. I'm sorry, Anthony Joshua, other than like 3 or 4 of your fights, everyone you have fought has been, not great. That he was fighting people that were in like the lower 50s, and boxing ranking.
Well, he did beat. So, if I'm not correct, please correct me. When he fought Klitschko was at the end of his career, correct?
Yeah, and Klitschko had already fought Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury annihilated him.
Gotcha. Okay, continue.
So yeah, he does have impressive names attached to his win resume, but we're not counting on those impressive names and where they were at in their career. So like you said, Klitschko, who was a hell of a fighter, for a while in the heavyweight division, he was at the tail end of his career. And I think you saw it in this fight because everyone keeps saying Deontay Wilder, the bronze bomber, to Anthony Joshua. Everyone keeps bombarding him with, when are you going to fight Deontay Wilder? I think in his, physically on Saturday night, he was fighting Andy Ruiz Jr., but mentally, he was fighting he was couldn't get Deontay Wilder out of his head.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and based on what you said, I don't think that he was thinking about Wilder, but I think that he saw Andy Ruiz. He looked at himself in the mirror, and you could tell this even before the fight. You could tell this actually before he came out to the arena, because I don't know when you started watching it, but when I tuned in, his music played, and they finished the whole song, and he didn't even come out yet. And everyone was like, well, the announcer was like, well, I don't know where he's at, but let's just play his music again, basically. And they played it again for the second time. And that's when he started coming out. It was like halfway through the second time they played it. But after that, I was like, wow, he's not even taking this serious. He's like, I'm the champion. I do whatever the hell I want. Then he comes into the ring, and then his body language, he was just like leaning on the ropes. Now, before this fight, I've never really seen Anthony Joshua fight.
Well,
so,
and I'll get
highlights.
I'll get to that in a minute, but go ahead.
I've only seen highlights, so I don't know if that's something he normally does when he just leans on the top rope, whatever. But since I don't know, I'm just going for what I saw, and it just looked like he didn't. He was like, "Come on, like this is who you guys got me fighting, really? This guy?" And then he goes into the fight. He starts round 1. To me, he just started slow. He was lazy. The way he was throwing his punches. Ruiz was being aggressive. I mean, to me, he threw the jab, but it wasn't like enough. When you got that, when you got the length advantage, to me, I feel like you should be using that jab more. Keep your opponent who's trying to rush in on you.
That's exactly right.
But he didn't. To me, he threw it, but there was nothing on it. It was just like, I'm gonna knock this guy out, pretty soon. I ain't worried about it. And then when he finally knocked him down in the third round, I think he was like, I told you. Like, I told you I was gonna knock this guy. I ain't worried about this guy. And then boom, he got hit with that right hand. and it was over. After that one punch, it was over. He was done. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, to your point about you've never seen Joshua fight, if you didn't tune in or you just saw highlights, this was Anthony Joshua's first fight ever outside of the UK and his first fight in the United States. And
Yep.
I understand that when you're the champion, you want to call the shots on where you fight and, where you and who comes to who. But you were trying to reach out to another champion, and supposedly anyway, in Deontay Wilder, who offered you, who I'm assuming they had an offer on the table, and you kept turning it down. And
Well, to be fair, we don't know what happened.
right, this is just reported, so we don't really know what happened. But if you're asking me after Saturday, who was ducking who, I'll give you my answer on who was the.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I definitely agree with you on that. I think that I'm leaning towards that. Yeah, it seems like he was dodging Wilder or dodging Fury or dodging whoever the main two whoever else he was potentially going to fight. I agree with you on that. I mean, I will say this: he was convincing when he did that interview on First Take. But after this fight, now it's like, well, maybe you are just, you're already a fake champion, by the way everyone was viewing you before the fight. Some people didn't think you were the real champion anyway. Now you are the fake champion. Maybe you were fake all along. And one more thing, I think Ruiz actually won 4 titles because he is the current. I'm reading it. He's the current unified WBA, WBO, IBO, and IBF heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I know he took. I'm pretty sure he took 3 belts from Joshua, and if he held one already, but my point is he'll probably hold those for a while because the future of the heavyweight class is booked up. I mean, Tyson Fury and Wilder got that rematch going, and I think those 2 fighters right now are in a class of their own. It's them number 1 and number 2, and then everyone else. And that fight's not happening until 2020, and both of them already have fights lined up for 2019. So,
well, I definitely think Ruiz is gonna he'll have another fight because I mean it's only what is it, June 5th right now?
well,
What's the date?
I agree, but I don't know if who's left to challenge him can beat him because, like I said, I'm not knocking Ruiz's skill. He did some impressive things against Anthony Joshua. And one of the things I liked was, yes, he got knocked down. They call him the Mexican Rocky Balboa because he can eat. I mean, he can eat, don't get me wrong, but he can eat punches.
Yeah, no pun intended.
But
yeah, he can eat.
But what I like about him is there's this old saying in boxing for shorter fighters with no length, and that's sometimes you have to get hit to you have to take a hit to give one back, and that's exactly what Ruiz did in that 3rd round. He let Joshua attacked him and got confident, and as he came in, that's when Ruiz got back. He was getting hit too, but he gave what was given to him and then some, and that's why he won. And even I made jokes at his appearance, but when it comes to skill as a fighter, he's actually a decent boxer.
Right.
But I'm really I'm really looking forward to, and I'm glad that they made it happen, was the Fury Wilder rematch. You know, that fight was incredible. And it's hard for me to say who's the better of the two. Wilder obviously has the knockout power over Tyson Fury, but I think as a craft, boxing as a craft as a whole, I think Tyson Fury is the better boxer of the two. So I think it'll be interesting when they fight to see how they try to counter each other.
I think Fury won that first fight. I
Well,
watched.
I'd agree
I,
with you till Wilder put him down. I think that's what did it.
well, I think that's what saved him. I don't think that's what won. I think that to me, that's what made it a tie was that knockout, but knockdown, not knockout.
You say you watched highlights or you saw it?
I saw it a couple days ago. I didn't watch it. I had originally watched highlights um, because I didn't watch it live. Um, I watched highlights, but then a couple days ago I found it because I knew we were going to talk about it, so I wanted to see the fight. And seeing that fight, I definitely had I definitely have Fury winning that fight. And I think my scorecard, I think it matched the same card that the guy for the judge that voted Fury. I think it matched him. I think it was like 115, 112 or something like that. I forgot what it was.
Well, and I want to say a couple things about that fight because a lot of people don't know this. When Tyson Fury fought that fight against Wilder, he had been out of boxing for like 3 years. He was in rehab for drugs and alcohol. He was overweight. Um, and that was really his first fight back um, in the boxing ring. So I thought it was a hell of a job by Fury. I didn't give him a chance back then because of what he had gone through.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this: I agree with you that I thought Fury was winning on the cards. I think he's the only fighter that really has given Deontay Wilder issues throughout the length of the fight before, and Deontay Wilder tried to do it to Fury before he just gets mad and ends it with one punch. And I will say I thought Fury was going to sleep when Wilder hit him when I saw it live. Um, that and even Wilder thought he put him to sleep. So
Let's
yeah,
say I didn't even know. I didn't know that Fury hadn't fought in a while. You said what, 3 years?
yeah, he was gone from the boxing scene for almost 3 years, and he was in rehab. He was like drinking tons of ounce of alcohol. He was on drugs. He was way overweight. It's kind of an inspiring story.
I'll tell you this. That man, he looked fucking great. And if this next fight, because to me, Fury's gonna destroy the guy he fights next, and then he fights Fury. What is it gonna be? You said 2020. It's probably gonna be what, maybe April or something usually.
Yeah,
Um,
April or May is probably when they'll fight. This is when primetime fights usually happen.
so let's just say it's May 1st. So he destroys the guy. He destroys his other guy, and let's say it's around September or something. That gives him months and months to prepare for Wilder. I think that's yeah. I
I'm
think
not no disrespect to Wilder because I even said on an episode he might be you know the hardest hitting heavyweight ever to step in the ring, or if he's not the hardest, he's tied with Mike Tyson in his prime. I mean, the guy's a knockout artist. Um, his record speaks for itself. So
yeah, he definitely has the power. I just think that Fury's gonna have he's the technician who also has some power too. So you
Uh,
know,
as his craft goes, honing a craft, Tyson Fury, in my opinion, is the better boxer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think the better boxer is gonna win. He should have already won, but I think, like I said, the only reason he didn't win was because he got knocked down, and B, he was out of the game for 3 years. So you add those back into the he doesn't get knocked down, and you take away the fact he was out 3 years. I think he wins that fight pretty easily. Um, I think it's going to be so. I'm looking at it. I had it 114, 112 Fury. I would go as high as to say that it's probably going to be about 116, 110 next time they fight. Maybe even more.
Yeah.
In Fury's direction. But,
But
we'll see.
I mean,
It's definitely we still got a long way. You never know. Maybe there's another Andy Ruiz that happens. They each have a fight beforehand before they fight each other next year. So anything can happen in the world of boxing. All it takes is one punch, and that could change the whole landscape.
yeah.
But we'll see. Like I said, long way. We got plenty of time to talk about it. Um, there was one thing I wanted to say. I didn't get to say. Oh, I just wanted to go back to something real quick before we wrap this up. I mentioned it earlier. I was gonna do a review on NXT Takeover. Now, I know you're not a huge wrestling fan like I am,
Right.
but I want to talk about it real quick because I think that wrestling. I'm tired of people not considering wrestling a sport, and I'm actually gonna post a video about this. That's gonna actually be my next episode of When the Real Gets Rough. It's gonna be about wrestling, and I just wanted to touch on it now, and then I'm gonna go all out in my video. Um, but I'm just tired of people not thinking wrestling is a sport, and if you look at just how athletic these guys are, most of the, I wish I could read the definition of sport. I wish I had it in front of me. But if what these guys do on a day in, day out basis, their athletic ability, if that doesn't make this a sport, I don't know what a sport is, because they're some of the most athletic human beings in the world. They kick ass, they entertain, and that show that they put on last Saturday was one of the best shows I've seen in years, in fucking years. And I recommend that if you're thinking about getting into wrestling again. I know that a lot of us we watched it when we were younger, and we learned that it was fake, and I put quotations around that. Um, that's when you grew out of it, or as you got older you grew out of it. If you ever feel that you want to get back into it, I highly recommend watching uh, NXT, which is the WWE's uh, what do you call it, training thing. It's their developmental system, and considered the number one brand in the world. And it's really amazing. Although they're the development, they have some of the best athletes, some of the best wrestlers in the world in the system. So I highly recommend that. It's called NXT. It's every Wednesday on the WWE Network. But I'll get into more of that When the Real Gets Rough, episode 2, that I'll be dropping pretty damn soon. Not tomorrow, the next day. So As long as I don't have any more technical difficulties.
Gotcha.
You got anything else you want to say, JT?
No, I'm excited to watch the rest of the NBA Finals play out. Game 4 is on what, Friday?
Friday, 9 o'clock, I want to say.
Yeah, so we'll stay tuned for that, and maybe maybe we'll have a clear picture on who we think the definite winner is after that game. Maybe we won't, but it'll be something worth talking about. So,
Any prediction for that game?
the Warriors win.
Warriors, I agree. Warriors win that game. I'm not gonna say big, but they definitely gonna win that game. For sure. It's in Oakland. They're gonna kick ass. That's for sure. Clay should be back. Maybe KD's back. So we'll see. If you ain't got nothing else to say, we're gonna wrap this up. Ladies and gents, this is the Daddy Fino Flash Podcast. I'm Daddy Fino. He's JT Flash. We out of here. Peace.